When I upgraded from my first Quantum in 2008 to receiving this new Quantum in 2014, I was never shown a picture or an illustration of the machine. I was told and promised by John Paul that this was the latest model and it was what I needed because it would allow me to rise upward to get on an examining table without me having to get out of the chair, get on a bench, climb up on the table, just transfer over. What I found from the first night after it was delivered was that when I began to move the joystick, it was tighter then, but within a day or so, it became loose. The arm became unstable. It rises up and flips over. And I had requested, as in my last Quantum, that I receive an articulating joystick armrest attachment so that when I wheel up to a dinner table or to my desk, that it would articulate outwards. Instead, it doesn't. I do not have the ability to pull it out. This is partly an articulation there, but it's not the way it's supposed to be. It's unsteady and unstable. And before we move any further, I want to demonstrate something here. Just remember that the joystick is supposed to sit snug here. That's a problem because there are two pieces to the machine here. One is a grip that's removable, and the other is the plate that prevents my leg from rolling out over here and my foot falling down. But to get this plate moved, I have to reach all the way down, and I'm going to turn it off so I don't roll. I have to reach all the way down and search for a red button that I really can't see or feel. Am I near it? Okay, here's a button, I think. All right, then I would lift this up with great, now remember, I'm handicapped. Okay. If I didn't have this part, and this part triangulating, then even though each of these three things are pretty important, if they weren't competing with each other for floor space, if you will, it wouldn't be so confusing as it is when I'm not in the chair and I'm sitting on the commode or I'm sitting somewhere else and I reach here. I'm not able to slide my hand from one to the other. And then once I do get back in the chair, I have to stumble, and if I'm trembling like I am now, because I have an intention tremor, I have to hope that that fits. And then I have to reload this, and I have dropped it many times in the floor. And then I have to unarticulate this and watch again. The metal here is crunching into the metal here, competing with this. So I have all three pieces here to compete with each other. And if I'm sitting, for instance, on the commode and I need to reach forward to grab something sturdy and stable, I normally would reach and grab the arm. But the problem is this arm is not real stable either, as you can see. And so I have these three things competing with each other, and always it has bumped metal against metal. And at issue also is that when I lean forward, the chair tips forward. And I'm going to attempt to position myself so that when I lean forward and it tips, I'm not endangering my life again. Within 30 minutes after the National Seating and Mobility people left the night of delivery, I moved into the restroom, had to lean down and lift up not one, but two foot plates, which should have never been ganged as two. And so the night that it was delivered, I had to lean forward and pick up the foot plates, lean forward further to lift the lid of the commode, lean forward further to grab the armrest to turn myself around. And it was at that point that I essentially would have fallen into the commode if I had not had my hand on the armrest. But after I finished my commode business and was leaving the bathroom, then I came out of the bathroom, and in a moment I can illustrate at the door what occurred. As I had gone to the sink to wash my hands, I had picked something up, and then going back out the bathroom door, I accidentally dropped it. And not knowing that I should develop this sixth sense about it, I leaned forward to pick it up, and when I did, you see the rise up back there? Did you get that?
Yes.
Okay. At that time, however, I didn't realize that I was going to have something to push off on. And the arm of the chair here on the left hit the door. My head hit the door. And so this was twice now, once at the commode, once at the door, that I realized the back end of my chair was flipping up. Another problem that I've had is that in order to cause the articulation of the joystick attachment to the armrest, I have to either manipulate it by hand, as you saw earlier, but if I'm in a situation where things have to change with it, or if it's been changed by something else, I have to reach down here and get a hold of this yellow device. And for a handicapped person, this is kind of difficult. Number one, I don't have the strength to pull it out. I'm straining with all my might and can't pull it. So I can push downward from the inside.
And it's a very uncomfortable position for
Yes,
you, right?
it is, and I'm pushing with all my might and cannot move it. My surrogate from Community Enterprises, Terry Cook, was here with me a number of weeks ago, and she had difficulty, and she's quite a healthy person. Several of my personal care attendant nursing students have attempted to move it, and they have trouble with it too. Again, I'm straining with all my might as a handicapped person, and I'm just now beginning. Did you see that? And now my thumb is hurt, but
Yeah.
I did push the yellow thing down, and you see what happened here. Now, the problem is, also as a handicapped person, to get this straightened out forward so it won't hang on doors, if I wanted to go through, I'm gonna have to take this yellow lock with my left hand, hold this here, find the yellow lock here, and attempt. Another problem is that the arms are not sturdy. When I attempt to rise to reposition myself, you can see that these soft, rubbery, cushy, spongy armrests, squish down. And sometimes I slide off of them, but they make me feel as if I'm not pressing on something that's strong. My nurses have all said that this was made out of cheap material. Now this is supposed to raise so I can transfer out. But another thing that I would mention is that even though we've got this chair because it would allow me to rise up so that on this other side I could press a button here and it would rise, I could lift the arm and transfer over to an examining table. The first time, even though it had worked here in the house for me to demonstrate to others that it worked, the first time I needed it was at the MRI center at Cooley Dickinson, where I was getting a thoracic and a brain MRI. And I pressed the appropriate buttons, clicked the appropriate things. Neither the doctor nor the two technicians there could prompt it to rise up. I had to get out of the chair, step up on her step stool, be helped by several people to get up, climb up on the examining table, and then again had to climb off and then be helped back into the chair because it would not rise. And that's the thing about the chair. It is unpredictable. There are times that it has tipped over and I wasn't even leaning forward. It has nearly fallen off of the PVTA vans in 3 instances, and twice a driver reached and caught me because the back end of it lifted up high and I almost propelled forward.